Hello, everybody. Thank you. I'm not sure what happened there. For some reason, my opening is not processing through my studio, but nonetheless, we're here. So I've got a close too, by the way, a closing video. We'll see if that works here at the end. But in the meantime, thank you for clicking on. Thank you for being here. Let me pop over to the chat section of things. Hey there, Nancy. Thank you for coming on. Cheerful music. Yes. Hopefully it is copyright free as it was said to be on the site. So we'll find out. But thank you for being here, everyone. And from the headline, Trump alleged co-conspirators are beginning to turn themselves in. Georgie Cat was beside me, twisting her head like the seal digging the tunes. Cool. All right. Always be kind. Thank you for being here. Um, we got our normal news to go through tonight, and then our Twitter scroll, X Twitter scroll, and then we'll see what's happening. If anybody has anything they want to be talking about, so let's start out with the headline, as you normally should. Trump lawyer John Eastman surrenders at the Atlanta jail. This particular one's from MSNBC. All the everybody but Fox had this out really quick. Fox was reporting on a couple other things. Eventually, had to start talking about this because not only is it Eastman turning himself in, but also Mark Meadows and one other guy are trying to get the judge to keep them from even going to Georgia. They want to be arrested somewhere else. So things are going to get a little squirrely the next couple of days. Eastman was the first of the big names to really surrender, and I don't know if he's going to turn on the former president, or if he's trying to save himself, because he's getting disbarred in California where he practices law, and so he's got some heavy duty legal baggage going on at the moment, if you will. And Eastman's not the only one. And once again, Mark Meadows, we mentioned. Others are turning themselves in. And if I've got time, we will. I've got a story on that as well. Now, this is Trump negotiated to surrender to jail when it would maximize the TV ratings. His attorneys have negotiated it so that it will be the most optimum time for America to be watching. This is the quote: former president seeking to distract from the indignity of the surrender by turning things into a circus. In essence, had his lawyers negotiate the booking to take place during the prime viewing hours for cable news networks. Trump has posted on his Truth Social platform he will be arrested on Thursday. The primetime scheduling was finalized in recent days after his lawyers met with Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis at her office on Monday. That is the end quote. So I'm speculating that is probably 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which would be noon to 1 o'clock on the West Coast, and pretty much cover the majority of the country. And that seems to be what the plan was. Let me show you that because I hadn't clicked it. My bad. Here's the highlight of the quote: former president seeking to distract from the indignity, and posted on his Truth Social, is going to be arrested Thursday. Primetime scheduling finalized once again when his lawyers met with Fani Willis, and that happened yesterday. So It is going to be a circus, and that is exactly what he wants. Sometimes be careful what you wish for. It's going to be a circus, and a lot of the people that are going to be there, it's not about Trump anymore. It's about them getting seen and them getting recognized. The guy in Washington that's at every protest that has the goat horns. Um, the guy that's at every Trump thing in a black and white striped um, old time looking jail outfit. Um, certain YouTube um, creators, if you will, or providers, or whatever term you want to use. You know what I'm saying? They show up for themselves, not really. It's not really about the event. If the event's going to be covered, but it's going to be a circus, and it wouldn't be a circus without clowns. So that's what's going to be happening on Thursday, and of course, I'm going to be. I've got. Wow, I hope it is at. My gosh, it's all gonna happen when I'm at a physical thing, but so I may not be on, but nonetheless there'll be a bunch of people on, and I would normally be covering it, but I may not be able to cover it anyway. Tomorrow night we're going to be on, and we're going to be watching the um, Republican candidates debate all of them except the guy that we've been talking about, and we're going to talk about some more coming up. Most of the other candidates, anyway. There's one that did not make it um, despite all of his efforts to reach the qualifying bars. Did not make it because he wouldn't sign an oath to support whoever the Republican nominee is, because it looks like even if he's in prison, Donald Trump's going to be the Republican nominee. At least that's my personal opinion at this present time, barring unforeseen circumstances, which, it's look around. Unforeseen circumstances have been happening and are happening and will continue to happen. So, but at the moment, he is by far and away the front runner to be the nominee of the demise of the Republican Party. And this one congressman who's running happens to be in the black community, I believe, and they're not letting him on the debate stage, so he's filed suit, and rightly so. And we'll see what Fox News does with that. Again, I've got another. I got a lot of, unfortunately, a lot of Trump stories, because it's all over the news, and it continues to. They're all from different angles, such as this. Former Trump attorney says, quote, "There's no chance," end quote, "he can comply with bail conditions, and he'll only get minor consequences." And that's a problem, because without consequences, there's no motivation um, to comply. So it's a really tight wired, slippery slope that's going on here, both in the legal system and in the political system. And I hate to say this, but it may be a situation where none of this really ever matters, because no matter what the outcome of all this is, the people that believe in Trump are either going to believe that um, any trial is rigged, and therefore, you know, the outcome doesn't matter. Um, at some point, we have to hope that enough people understand what's actually happening here, that the reason no other president has ever been, former president has ever been treated this way is because no other former president has ever behaved the way that Donald Trump allegedly has behaved. I mean, it is that simple. It really is that simple. It's not Democrats. Democrats, honestly, I've said this before, the Democratic Party wants to run against Donald Trump because right at the moment, 62% of the country says no, they're not, it wouldn't even consider voting for him. And that's just going to go up. That's just the reals of politics. Um, Donald Trump also has another battle on his hands. He's at war with Melania over son Barron. He's given an ultimatum, or she has, one of the two. He believes it's time for his son to get involved in his public life. That means he's getting really desperate. He's got to use anything and everything he can to try to retain and gain popularity. That includes bastardizing his own son in the political world and cheating him out of a normal life. Giuliani has scientific evidence of election fraud, but most people are over it. He says it's, quote, such good evidence that it was sat on for almost 2 years. Okay, we'll see. This guy hadn't been telling a whole lot of truths lately, and the damn shame of it is, at one time he was the most popular person in America. He was by far and away the leading candidate to be president of the United States in the or have at least the Republican nomination, and he was beating most Democrats in those early polls back then, pre or post 9/11 2001, and then some pictures came out with Rudy and Drag, and other things started coming out from the Republican Party, sabotaging him, by the way. And, that's kind of, you blame the Democrats and everything when it comes to Trump, but all the witnesses are Republicans. The judges, the judge in Florida is a Trump appointee. They're trying to get the judges changed in Georgia. They're trying desperately to get the cases in Georgia moved into federal court in hopes that it will be in front of a judge appointed by Trump. Because if Trump goes down, the whole Republican Party will go down, except for Adam Kinzinger and oh my gosh, Cheney, Liz Cheney, a few other Congress people and a few senators that have used common sense and and put country ahead of political party. Democrats, they just sat back. They sat back because Marjorie Taylor Greene and whatever his name is, Matt Gaetz. These people are showing. They're showing who Trump is and what he wants to be, and they've signed up for it, and he will do anything and everything he can to get out of jail. So the biggest fish to fry will be those Congress people and senators, and it'll be really interesting to see how all this plays out, and it will play out. The thing is it going to matter as it plays out? Because everything comes down to who controls the military and who controls the police. But in actuality, there are 80,000 police officers around the country in total, everywhere. It's not as massive a number as you would think. And if we start deploying troops into Eastern Europe and Africa and the Middle East and Iran and in the Pacific with North Korea, with China, we're not going to have a lot of troops here at home. And even if they aren't deployed, how are the armed forces going to shake out? Are they going to stay loyal to the constitutional government, or are they going to side with Trump? Some of you may be surprised at how things are looked at in the military, especially if you don't have any contact with people that are or have just recently been in the military or have a lot of association with the military. It's not all cut and dried like the liberal sphere would like to think it is, and it's not all it's not all full blown civil war like a lot on the right would like to think it is, and just waiting for somebody to fire the first shot. That's the sad thing is neither side is looking at the other as what the other are planning or what the other is even about, because everybody's too busy yelling at each other. And it's not gonna, we're not all, it's not gonna be kumbaya, my lord, kumbaya. We're not all gonna come together. We're not all, John Lennon come together over me. We're not all gonna do this. There's got to be enough of us to somehow keep the peace and provide, keep the peace and civility. How do we do that? Hey, I'm just making a statement. I believe that's what has to happen. How it happens, I'd have to think on that for 10 or 15 minutes. Carrying on, the Wagner boss, Prigozhin, makes a chilling vow in his first video since failed mutiny. I touched on this last night. I want to bring it back up because it's a fairly big deal. Russia's presence in Africa, because it seems like all the Wagner that were on the border of Belarus and Poland have suddenly disappeared. And now Prigozhin is saying there's no way Wagner will get involved in Ukraine again. But he's still collecting money in Russia or in Africa in the name of Russia. And I'm imagining push comes to shove is going to stay loyal to Putin despite being exiled. Who knows? This is some high BS. This comes from Oplantia. Christians find out Jesus was woke and are now in crisis. I got this up because anybody that claims actual Christianity and is actually read even just the New Testament part of the Bible would know that Jesus would not be carrying an AK-47. Jesus would not be wanting to kill his neighbors, and even kill them harder if they're liberals or communists or whatever you perceive them to be, or even harder if they happen to be minorities. And there's so many Christians that claim all that stuff I just listed off and still claim to be Christian. And I've said that they're labels. They look at Christianity as a label, as, Adidas or Nike or Swiss watch or Rolex, without understanding meanings of any of the, who makes the Nikes or Adidas, and who, without understanding anything. It's Christianity is a clout. All right. It's used as a clout. It's not a philosophy. So everyone claiming to be Christian, You're not. Sorry, you're not. And those that actually are, if you know, you know. And it's not a shock. Uh, Christians aren't in crisis. Some of the people who are finding out that, oh my gosh, Jesus really believed this, Jesus really said that, because all I know is John 3:16. They're John 3:16 Christians. They heard that, and that's all they needed to hear. Oh, that's all I need to hear. All I got to do is believe in this Jesus guy, and everything's good. And that's not really what the verse says. Actually, while I'm on the subject, he says, "You will not perish." Doesn't say that you won't burn in hell for eternity and never perish. Because you see, there's all these other things like loving your neighbor and doing no harm. And if you're down to your last garment and you see somebody without a garment, give them yours. There's a whole lot that goes into the Christian thing that um, either people have forgotten or people are overlooking, or you don't even know because you're just a John 3:16 Christian and it's just a label. Let's carry on. It's time for the X Files, the X Twitter files. This first one I'm going to show you is I'm not going to show you. Before I get it on here, make sure there's no music. And because this is let me share it. Let me pop this up and let's watch. What you're seeing is shoplifting at an amazing level, caught on surveillance cam. I got a whole bunch of Trump stuff to come, so a little bit of WTF to begin with here. And the laptop right down the pants, hit the kid right in front of you. And now this is the last one I'm going to show. This guy's going to steal a cow. All right. Okay, they're going to get the cow, shove the cow into the car with another guy who's already in the back seat and the guy and they can't, but they get the door open and they steal a cow. And yeah, they hurt the cow trying to drag it out after they stole it. So, and I didn't want to show that. Sorry. Okay. This comes from Matt Wallace. It was retweeted by or re-xed by D Wood. Some Joe Biden fell asleep at the in the middle of his meeting with victims of the Maui fires. Now, this is not a good look. This is the guy from the Muppets that sits up in the balcony and heckles. If you're a praying person, pray for our country. Otherwise, positive vibes for all of us, please. Um, our two choices for president this year are going to be um, a Muppet and a convict. Um, and we ought to be able to do something about that. Uh, but let's carry on. This comes from John M. Lerner. Whoa, I didn't want that. What? Hold it. There we go. Sorry about that. This is a quote. As of right now, the number of U.S. forces in Niger remains the same. There's been no change in our force posture. Broadly speaking, the U.S. government remains focused on diplomacy, and that will continue to be our focus. Brigadier General Pat Ryder, of the Department of Defense press secretary. And I got this up because, we've had Chris on. We're going to have Chris back on here really soon as things in Central Africa, across the whole center of the continent, are getting spicy, we shall say. And we talked earlier about Wagner being there and their troops being moved to Africa after they rested and refreshed, is what he said when he was in Belarus before he himself left for Africa. So I'm assuming that's where they're going. That should lessen tensions on the Polish and Latvian and Lithuanian borders in that part of the area. We'll see. But back to Niger, um, it we we have military bases in Niger, and that is our primary focus in being in Niger is the military bases. I think what this statement's trying to say is right now, and in this foreseeable future, they're saying don't count on more U.S. troops coming in here. We've got enough to defend our bases if necessary. That's all we need. That's all we're going to do. Um, Otherwise, diplomacy, because the video I didn't show you the video because it's in Russian, but Berjokin was talking about how they battled with ISIS and Al Qaeda and Al Qaeda, and you know things are starting to heat up in Niger and in that region, and we are making a statement as of right now that we're not going to be escalating in any way, shape, or form. Um, does that last? It's pretty good for us here in the United States, in my opinion, if it does last. Okay, this is our 7 minute um, middle of the show extended extended play. It's called Night at the Garden. It's by Marshall Curry, and it won short subject at the Sundance Film Festival. Um, and I felt like it might be something that people might want to see if they have not seen it before. And if I, why is it not playing? Okay, here we go. It is playing. 1939, 2 years before Japanese attacked American Pearl Harbor, bringing us into World War II. pro-American rally. See, Nazi Party. With George Washington. Rewriting history. Pledging loyalty to a foreign nation.
I pledge undivided allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Under God was not in the pledge at this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Americans, American patriots, I'm sure I do not come before you tonight as a complete stranger. You all have heard of me through the Jewish-controlled press.
Ah, crap. That's my bad. My bad. I did not take it off the bookmark. My bad. Shiva Public. Let me get back here. Let's see if we can. I made a mental note before we started. Now, I want to go up to about right here. There we go. Stay with me, folks, please. This is worth watching, and it is indeed live. And once you screw up live when you're producing it yourself, the only thing you can do is eat it and say I screwed up, and I did, and I apologize. But it is worth hearing what he has to say, and possibly making some kind of potentially relevant reference one way or another with what's happening in our country. All right, if I shrink it down, it'll let me play it normally. All right, we'll come back to this. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll come back to this. I'll put this on pause. We'll let it boot up good. I'll finish the rest of this. Finish the rest of the scroll, and we'll end on that. No, you're not going to start now. I just said I'm going in a different direction. If you've never been on an airplane, then you won't relate to this at all. But if you fly a lot, you understand you understand the differences. This is an Airbus. I think it's an Airbus 303, and this is a Boeing 767. Just so this is a huge, massive plane. The front one is a really, if you fly a lot, the front one is a really big plane. The The second one is what it says. It's basically a giant, extended, long bus, a flying bus nonetheless. But I just found that interesting because you don't. I watch a lot of radar stuff, and you can tell from the sizes, which planes are coming, which planes are going. But to see them on the runway and be able to compare them, I don't see that very often. So I thought, well, I'll share this. So if you're not into planes, then I apologize for that 45-second. This is a WTF, which normally we have more than one of those an episode, but this is, okay. If you ever get arrested, do not hit the cop. All right. Now, I mean, if the cop's beating you, that's a different story. I'm talking about an arrest and a situation like we're about to see right here. She hits him once, and then she hits him a second time, and she's leveled. Now, is this a situation where women want to be treated equally? So this is justified because she hit the other cop twice, so he was sticking up for his partner and he laid her out? Or is this police brutality? And there's no way that cop should have hit that woman, despite the woman obviously punching the other cop in the head twice. That's a 2023 question. That's something that each of us has to decide on our own for ourselves. And I'm not telling you what to think or how to think. We don't do that here. Just giving you something to think about. WTF. A woman in Chicago has been arrested. We talked about this last night. A woman in Chicago has been arrested for allegedly threatening the lives of Barron Trump and Donald Trump. Some more details. 41-year-old Tracy Marie Florenza threatened to shoot them both. Threats came in May and then again in June. And he says, you're going to make it absolutely clear, don't threaten to shoot anybody. It doesn't matter if they're famous or not famous or whatever. Just don't do it. Do better, America. All of us, everybody, do better. Don't just threaten to shoot people. Just because we all could do it. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it. All right? Just because you could do it doesn't mean you're going to do it. And chances are, while I'm on the topic, just because you're saying you're going to do it on the internet doesn't mean you're going to do it. Doesn't mean you're not. Because we know for a fact that we reported last night that the owner of a restaurant that was supported the LGBTQ plus community had been murdered, and we find out today that the person that murdered her had a long and vocal anti-LGBTQ plus community repertoire on online media. So it doesn't mean, when you see somebody like Tracy Marie Florence, who I'd never heard of until today, but she threatened in May and then again in June. I don't know why they were. Maybe they were monitoring her social media and seeing things that, like maybe she's going to go to Georgia. Don't. But what we got to worry about is not the ones that are screaming about how they're going to do it on social media. Well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do, those people are, not that they won't do it, but 9 out of 10 of them won't ever do anything other than get arrested for being stupid on social media. The ones that are to be concerned about are the ones that aren't on social media, but watch social media or watch one specific only look one direction on a news channel, whatever it may be, and make the decision that they're going to change the course of the world themselves. That's and Atlanta, Georgia is not the safest place. It's a pretty place, great food, great music, a lot of great people, but there's also a lot of potential trouble because of where it's located and how easy it is to get to, especially in the South. It's kind of the central major hub of the South, as well as airline hub, to be honest with you. People could fly in there. So, and not just, not just whack job Americans. We also have to consider that, that Iran still has a contract out on Trump, a legitimate, if you happen to kill him, it's worth so many millions of dollars in Iran. And there are some Iranian sleeper cells over here. So hopefully he shows up, he gets arrested, and he starts to feel some consequences, or he starts to see, maybe this isn't so good for me. And maybe he already is, because we've got a couple other things coming up here. Special counsel Jack Smith filed a 12-page count document, filed a 12-page count court document. Dang it. Let's start again, shall we, folks? Breaking news, special counsel Jack Smith has filed a new 12-page court document in the Mar-a-Lago documents case. The document alleges that 2 witnesses had lied to the grand jury about Trump, but have recently changed their testimony, and it now implicates Trump. We'll just go ahead and read the file. When Trump employee number 4 retestified, or when Trump number 4 testified before the grand jury in the District of Columbia in March of 2023, he repeatedly denied or claimed not to recall any contacts by conversations about the security footage at Mar-a-Lago. In testimony before the same grand jury, D'Oliveira likewise denied any contact with Trump employee number 4 regarding security footage. The government's evidence indicated that the testimony by Trump number 4 and D'Oliveira was false. Immediately after receiving new counsel, as soon as he got a new lawyer, Trump employee number 4, his lawyer said, dude, you got to make this right, because, they are going to lock the door, throw away the key on you, because they've got you, and you need to retract this. And he did. Retracted his prior false testimony, provided information that implicated Nada, D'Oliveira, and Trump in efforts to delete security cam footage. So we also have a cover-up. Conspiracy, pretty much laid it out right there in that one paragraph. He's going to get arrested. I mean, he's been arrested 3 times. He's about to be arrested for the 4th. Could be up to 7, is what I'm hearing. And at some point, he's going to be found guilty. And each time we've reached a different point, it's been, okay, now if this happens, then we're going to, it's going to kick off. And it never kicked off. Hopefully it never does. Hopefully there are enough of us that just keep talking about this that we don't need it. It's not going to be good for anybody. No matter who starts it, no matter where it starts, if it starts, it will lead to martial law. It will lead to power-hungry people being in power and not caring what political party you or what color hat you wear, despite what you may think. Just saying. We don't want anything breaking down to where the government has more control than they already do. Do we? It's a question. Just something to think about. That's what we do here. Now, Donald Trump's not going to be in the debate tomorrow night, as we mentioned earlier. I'll be on here. We'll be covering it. We'll be talking about it. We'll be watching it, and I'll be interacting with chat much more than I do on these kind of shows where we, try to get through all of this stuff as quick as I possibly can, and I always end up taking twice as long as I intend. But oh well. This comes from Mike Sington. Since he won't be appearing, Fox News has banned Trump's team and surrogates from the debate spin room, which I think is justified. Why have his opinion or anything to do with him if he's not showing up? The plan was to have Don Jr., Kimberly Guilfoyle, that's the plastic person here, MTG, Matt Gaetz, Carrie Lake, the usual members of the circus, and they don't juggle. They're not going to be able to be back there talking to the press and getting their clips and thoughts and positivities about the person that they still treat as if he were a sitting president, which, by the way, he's not. Okay, this was also, this is the first I had of that and got a little bit of extra. Canaries are going to sing. Canaries are singing. And the whole point of the headline tonight, every person that comes in ahead of Donald Trump, they're all going to be trying to get a deal. And this is just in the Georgia case. All right, you're seeing it also now start to happen in the documents case. And pretty soon it'll start to happen if it hasn't already, if Mark Meadows hasn't already put him under the, threw him under the bus. And once again, when Trump finally does realize, I'm not getting out of this, he's going to have two choices. He's going to have either throw everybody he possibly can under the bus and hope that Joe Biden commutes his sentence after a certain point. And hopefully, that would be a 4 years, the 4 years that he's drug America through all of this. He needs to be in prison for a minimum 4 years. And that's just my opinion. All right. If he's convicted of what he has allegedly done. And I think throughout this episode, I've been showing you more and more how the allegedly is going to be disappearing very soon in one of these cases. And hopefully nothing happens. But let's not take that for granted. Let's try to work to make sure that doesn't happen, because it's not going to be good for any of us. None of us. None of us. No matter what side you're on, or if you're not on a side, martial law is not going to be good for anybody. Again, let me repeat, just a bunch of power-hungry people having more power than they ever should is all that will equate to, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter. Actually, if let's say something happened and martial law, and martial law was a pro-Trump martial law. Well, those of you that are, MAGA people, you're the most dangerous. They know you're the most dangerous. They know how many guns you got, and you're just the biggest threat to them now, as you were when I was questioning and still question, who is your enemy? And I found out today. I didn't find out today. I was kind of reminded today that there are people that need enemies, okay? Not for violence, not for, war, but because they enjoy, the spirit of the fight, let's say. And as long as it's verbal or it's all online, have at it with each other. Just don't drop it offline. Anywhere on any level, especially with doing something to a former president or a current president, because we just had somebody arrested for threatening to kill Biden and somebody else arrested for threatening to kill the judge in Trump's case. So it's, it's not limited to sides. Craziness isn't limited to sides. But it cannot become the rule of law or the lack thereof. We're walking a fine line as a society and probably as a species. So Trump's going to have two choices once it does happen, and he is found guilty. No matter when that does happen, it will. And when it does, he's going to have two choices. He's going to either, again, throw anybody and everybody under the bus, or he's going to have to take off. And everybody's saying this is just a joke. I don't know if this is a joke. The failed district attorney of Fulton County insisted on a $200,000 bond from me. I assume, therefore, that she thought I was a, quote, flight, end quote, risk. Like, I don't know why he's quoting his own words. But nonetheless, he goes on to say, I'd fly far away, maybe to Russia, share a gold dome suite with Vladimir, never to be seen or heard from again. Would I be able to take my very, quote, understated, unquote, airplane with the gold trumpet fixed for all to see? Probably not. I'd be much better off flying commercial. I'm sure nobody would recognize me. Is he talking about putting on a disguise and flying commercial because nobody would ever expect that, and that's how he gets out of the country? Everybody's saying it's a joke. I don't know. I think the $200,000 is because it's supposed to be hit him in the pocketbook. If you're going to do that, it ought to have been a $200 million bond. $200,000, and if he doesn't uphold his terms of parole or terms of being released and not being detained, if he breaks the bond, he loses the $200,000. I don't know. And he also potentially goes to jail. I'm assuming it's $200,000 because they know they're not going to put him into jail because they know he's going to violate probation and, or not probation, but terms of release while under indictment and free from arrest. But I just found this, and I don't know how much people are actually talking about this one because he puts out 40 or 50 a day, it seems like, and they're all really bizarre, and all of them are normally attacking. This one is not so much attacking. Just calls her a failed district attorney of Fulton County, Atlanta. But talking about how if he did it, he's not going to use his own airplane. He's not stupid. Probably not. I'd be much better off flying commercial. I'm sure nobody would recognize me. I don't know. It's at the least, it's curious, let's say. All right. we touched on this in Jimmy Carter. I was fortunate to I've been fortunate to meet all the past presidents that are living, with the exception of the one we've been talking about. Um, and I got to meet and spend time in campaign with Jimmy Carter. Um, and we talked about this story that he found out that there were aliens, and his question was about his Christian faith and about the Bible. And we've talked about this in the past. And I've got this up because I don't know if I'm going to do it this week or if it'll be next week, but I'm going to do an episode about this, about Christianity and aliens. Oh, by the way, um, I think it was like 40 years ago, a couple of Chinese doctoral students at Stanford University pointed antennae up into the air and broadcast signals. And tonight is the night that would be the first night that, with science as we know it and as we knew it then, it would take the signal that we sent out back, or the Chinese doctoral students from Stanford sent out back then, for those signals to reach the closest place where it could possibly be habitable as we know it, and to get back here, it's like 38 years. So tonight is actually the first night where information from that experiment could potentially come back, which would put a whole different spin on all the UFO stuff. Um, but again, this is how I'm ending this particular portion of the show. Um, we are going to talk about this. President Carter found out in what was reported to him, was that that aliens created us, and all the religious um, dogma was created by them as a way for us to try to control ourselves and not kill each other off. Um, Seemed like it never really worked. But that this is all just, we are like lab rats, and this is all a big experiment. And that's why Jimmy Carter cried and was so upset. And I look at it a little bit differently. And again, I'm going to have an episode, and we're going to talk about this and what. And I'm not going to exactly tell you everything I think or whatever, but just look at some options of, well, how would that impact this, and how would it impact that? And again, I'm almost certain I'm not going to do it this week, especially with debate tomorrow night and Trump on Thursday. No, I'm not going to do it this week. It'll be next week. We'll be on here talking about that. So I'm going to hop back over here into the chat to see if anybody's even there, if anybody's even watching. He has a flight risk. They need to seize his passports, etc. I would think he probably has illegal passports. The problem is he's got he's got Secret Service, and I don't know how exactly he would evade them. I think they would probably have to be so loyal they would defect with them and live in seclusion with Vladimir in a gold domed house. Trump's words, not mine. So Nancy, hey Z, thank you for being here. Nancy, always be kind. Again, thank you all. What country would dare take him in besides Russia or North Korea? He said no. He said the south of France. He could be. He doesn't have to be doing all this. He could just go and live the rest of his life in the south of France. So who knows? Um, Russia and Korea do have a nuclear pact together that came out late, and I don't have the story yet, but I'll talk about that the next time I'm on. The Philippines, he could survive in the Philippines. He could jump from island to island, and if he really wanted to, Saddam Hussein style, and hide in all different kinds of spots, he could jump from island to island in the Philippines. There's like thousands of islands in throughout the Pacific that he could. He couldn't do it in that big plane, but no, I don't know how in the world he would do it without the Secret Service being loyal to. And there was a report I never saw it in mainstream, but there was a report that he had some Secret Service agents quit. So they might have quit because they're like, no, I'm not going to live with you in Russia. Come on, you clown. John McAfee, they're singing like canaries. Yes, they are, Jim. Uh, don't think he's a boat guy. Yeah, I don't think he's a boat guy either. He's not a dog guy. He's the first president in 100 years not to have a dog. That should have told America something about the clown. Sorry, that's my opinion of him. I know a lot of people love him, and bless your pea-picking hearts. But no, he's not really a boat guy. Yeah, he has. I don't know if I've ever seen pictures of him on a boat. Now that you mention that, Zippy, lots in planes, lots in other places, but never in a boat. And no dog. That bothers me. It bothers me. Joe Biden's dog bites everybody too, but you know, um, yeah, you're right, Nancy. You're right. He he wouldn't be a good dog owner. So it's good he doesn't have a dog, but it should have told America something about him. Yeah, or a cat. Yeah, well, Socks. I think Socks was the cat of the Clintons. um, if he does come up missing, watch Junior. He will go to wherever he goes, unless he doesn't tell Junior. You know, he might just decide. My best bet is just take off all by myself so that I don't go to jail and leave everybody else behind to go to jail. Um, he wanted Secret Service to kill Pence. Yeah, oh yeah. Don Jr.'s wife ran off with a Secret Service agent. Interesting. Cat would scratch him to hell and back. All right. Hey, thank you all for being here. And again, I'll be back on tomorrow night. We'll watch the debate. We'll chat during the debate and laugh probably. I imagine Chris Christie will have a humorous line or two. I don't know about the others. Some of them are a little cringeworthy. Just saying. And then Thursday we'll see what happens. I'll be on sometime Thursday. Friday night, back in the park for concerts. Provide other content other than this. This is my bread and butter, kind of, not money wise, but because I'm always getting copywritten. But as far as what I've studied, what I've experienced, what I've been part of, it kind of all ties into what I do here. And as an ode to Corinne, if I weren't a serious journalist, I'd be still probably on the borderline of poverty. But I do try to provide commentary and content on things happening around the world. And I appreciate y'all watching, not only around the world, but obviously in our country. A lot of stuff going on in the YouTube streets, as the young folks say, and as they get cringe, those that are hearing it right now, Carl. But I love y'all. Seriously mean that. And I've got to close for tonight. I don't know. The open, it worked. It worked in the rehearsal. I spent a lot of time putting it together. I've got to close. I don't know if it'll work or not, but as always, namaste, shalom, shalom, assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you. Positive vibrations. Live long and prosper. Peace. Mwah. Much love. And it's a dark world. Do try to be a light. It is. It's, man, I mean, it's a messed up, jumbled up, mixed up, shook up world, except for Lolo. No, it's actually Lola. But I'm glad all my friends in California are safe. There's going to be a lot of loss as far as financial, but not a lot of loss of life, which is always a positive thing. So I love you all, and hold on. I'm going to end it with this. Thanks for being here.